I'll call the Thursday, January 28th, 2021 City Commission meeting to order. Everybody had an opportunity to address the minutes. Any changes or corrections?
None.
Stand as presented. Any citizen comments? I don't see any citizens out there that I don't know. And we have an addition to the agenda. I'm sorry, I should have announced that first. We have the financial report for December 2020, the monthly financial. It'll be presented to us by Kim Rupp. And Kim, are you ready?
Yep.
Thank you.
Kim Rupp, Director of Finance. Normally, this is presented in that first meeting of February, given that's been canceled. And then we also had some complications with software getting the year closed. So this report is as of right today, hot off the press. I'll be sure to email a full one out to you this week and or tomorrow. And we appreciate you adding this on tonight. So this is a report of the financial summaries of the revenue and expenditures for the City of Hayes ended December 31, 2020. Revenues in December totaled $8,576,058. That's an increase of a little over $3 million compared to the same period last year. So notable areas of increase. If you recall from last month's report, the November distribution of sales tax from the state wasn't received until December 1. Therefore, $917,000 of the above mentioned increase is attributed to that. Another large contributor to the increase above was in the Capital Projects Fund. We closed out the East 41st Street project, transferring $695,000 from the TDD sales tax to do that. Other contributing factors included the ability to increase several reserve transfers at the year end. Water consumption for the month was up 5.98%, translating into a 6.6% increase in water revenue and a 43% increase in conservation revenue. Water consumption ended the year up 2.78, with total revenue up 5.34. Some notable areas of revenue decrease. The quarterly distribution of local alcohol liquor tax was down $17,000. It ended the year down $66,000, mostly attributable to the collections from June, July, and August in 2020. And keep in mind that this is a tax on drinks at restaurants, not liquor stores. So the pandemic most certainly affected that collection. Expenditures in December totaled $8,064,666. That's an increase of $1,323,706. Some increased expenditures when we compare to 2019. As mentioned, we were able to increase several transfers to reserve funds at year end. Most notably, we were able to increase the transfer to water reclamation reserves by $655,000. And the final payroll of the year was paid out on December 31st, given our normal Friday payday was January 1 this year. So therefore, we had an extra payroll falling in 2020, amounting to salaries increase across all funds of about $230,000. Notable areas of decrease, other contractual for the Bickle-Schmidt Sports Complex was down $26,000 due to the Red Shale project at this time last year. And you may notice when you get the report a large expenditure credit in the amount of $1,564,000 in the Capital Projects Fund from last year. That was the transfer in from water reclamation reserves to close out the water reclamation facility project at that time a year ago. Month-to-date general fund sales tax collections we're at $650,052. That's a decrease of $14,500, or a negative 2.2% when we compare to last year. Collections ended the year at $7,641,323, up $230,000, or 3.1%. 6-month average is at 3.34. That was a decrease of 2.1 when we compared to a year ago. And also, the first full distribution from the Ellis County quarter-cent sales tax was received in December. That came in at $75,223. This will likely take a few months to stabilize as the local retailers bring this new tax on board. We'll continue to report that separately. The report of quarter-to-date top 10 sales tax collections by classification was down 72,400, or a negative 3.4%. Portfolio certificates of deposit on December 31, 2020 totaled $41,550,192 with a weighted average interest rate of 61 basis points. That's down 1.65 from a year ago. Total U.S. Treasuries at par was $3 million with a weighted average yield to maturity of 6 basis points. Total balance of money market account on December 31 was $7.75 million with a current yield of 5 basis points. Total investments are down $8,976,808 when compared to this time last year. And finally, you'll notice in the packet a summary of general fund revenue and expenditures year ended 2020. This is in a similar format you'll find in the budget, and these numbers are unaudited at this point. There are a couple of highlights I wanted to review. Total operating expenditures, which does include the transfer, or does not include the transfer to Commission Capital Reserve, finished the year $621,000 under budget. Total revenues entered the year $78,000 over budget. So that contributes to the ability to increase that transfer into Commission Capital Reserves, that money that you're able to spend cash on projects on. We were able to increase that from $719,000 to $1 million. We were also able to transfer that $250,000 that you approved earlier in the year into budget stabilization. And the unreserved fund balance then also stayed at a strong $1.6 million.
Make a motion, we approve the December 2020 financial report.
Second.
Been moved by Commissioner Musil, seconded by Commissioner Melick to approve the financials as presented. Any discussion or questions? If not, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kim. And thank you for getting it out for us. On the consent agenda, I do have some mayoral appointments. We're really pleased at the number of people that are wanting to become involved in things in the community. It's nice to start out the year this way. I'm asking approval for Kimberly Thomason to join the Care Council, and that is an additional term she served before. Under the Convention and Visitors Bureau, our applicants were Natasha Cecil, Molly Gager, Stacy Smith, Angelica Southard, and Tegan Zachary. I spoke to each one of them, and they were thrilled to be involved again. And finally, Curtis Brown on the Northwest Kansas Community Corrections Board. I'll stand for a motion on the consent agenda.
I move we accept the consent agenda item of the mayoral appointment recommendations.
Been moved by Commissioner Reuter, seconded by Commissioner Burgess. All in favor, or any questions, I'm sorry. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Same sign on no. Thank you. It's the Jesse Rohr Show.
I'm ready.
Yes, it is. Thank you, Jesse. The first item on the agenda is 27th Street Construction, the award of bid.
Good evening, Commissioners. Jesse Rohr, Director of Public Works. The first item of mine tonight is presenting a request for award of bid for the reconstruction of West 27th Street from Hall to Fort. The next major reconstruction project for the City of Hays is West 27th Street from Hall to Fort. This particular project has been listed on the Capital Improvement Program for several years now. The total length of the project is just under 3,800 linear feet. The intent of the project is to remove and replace all the pavement, curb and gutter, sidewalks, curb ramps, intersections, alley entrances, and any driveways that need repaired or replaced in order to meet ADA requirements. The project also includes new pavement markings, storm sewer improvements at Canal Boulevard and the area adjacent to Van Dorn Pond, as you can see in the green highlighted areas here. We also have some water line improvements to include abandonment of an old 4-inch water main along Walnut from 23rd to 27th. You can see right in this area here. And 3 various fire hydrants, one at Hillcrest, Cottonwood, and Willow. We did open bids on December 22nd, 2020, and we did receive what we felt were very good bids from 4 qualified bidders. All bids were reviewed by city staff and Kirkham Michael engineers. The low bid from Paul Wartenberger Construction in the amount of $2,376,131.60 has been determined to be the valid low bid and is below the engineer's estimate for the project. Paul Wartenberger, as you may recall, did a very good job on a similar project in 2018 when they reconstructed Allen Streets, and they've done a couple other smaller projects since that time as well. The current schedule does call for construction to begin on or about March 15th and will be completed by a contract date of November 17th, 2021. Inspection of the project will be completed in-house, and there will be an informational meeting likely in the first week or so of March. We'll invite the public that is affected by the project, the property owners adjacent to the project, to that meeting at that time. At that meeting, the contractor and the engineer will be available to answer any questions about schedule, phasing, access, and other items of interest or concern. I will mention since I mentioned phasing of the project will be constructed in two primary phases. The north half will be constructed in one phase. During the construction of north half, traffic will be eastbound only. And then after that's completed, they'll move to the south half of 27th, and at that time, traffic will be westbound only. The intersection of Hall Street also gets reconstructed with this project, and it'll be phased as well to allow the best flow of traffic through there as possible. So the following tables will kind of summarize the total project cost, including engineering and design, and how we're funding those. So first, you can see in the blue highlighted box on the right, the original design engineering agreement that was completed in September 2019 was for $89,900. During that design process, the engineering scope of services was increased to include replacing the entire intersection of 27th and Hall, as I mentioned, and the waterline improvements along Walnut were expanded as well. That $18,995 supplement was approved by the city manager under his approval authority. This slide shows, again in the blue box there, that the low bid, again, is from Paul Wartenberger Construction in the amount of $2,376,131.60. Which brings the total project cost, when you include the cost for design and engineering, to just under $2.5 million. The 2021 CIP did include just over $3 million for this particular project, as you can see there on the right. And that included $2.9 million from City Commission reserves, $60,000 from stormwater, and $85,000 from water capital. The as-bid costs were broken out based on actual bid items assigned to the street, stormwater, and sanitary funding sources respectively. The as-bid costs assigned to stormwater and sanitary are higher than originally budgeted. However, those funds can absorb the higher costs. The $2.9 million budgeted out of Commission Capital Reserve ends up being $674,000 more than the as-bid cost. In total, the project is currently $560,000 under budget. These are the options moving forward: accept the bids or provide us another option. And the action requested should you so choose. With that, I'd stand for any questions.
I'll make a motion that we authorize the city manager to enter into a contract with Paul Wartenberger Construction Incorporated in the amount of $2,376,131.60 for reconstruction of 27th Street from Hall to Fort, to be funded out of the capital projects with transfers from the Commissional Capital Reserves, Stormwater Reserves, Water Capital, and Sewer Capital for respective items of work.
Second that.
The action requested has a motion from Commissioner Melick and a second from Commissioner Reuter. Do we have some questions for Jesse?
Jesse, I've noticed in the last 6 months we've had a lot of utilities up there working on moving and improving lines. Is everyone done? Are we waiting on anybody to get their stuff moved, or?
So they're just about finished. So Midwest Energy was a primary contractor up there. They installed a new gas main that runs along and under. In some portions it's adjacent to, and some portions under that portion of 27th Street. About 2 weeks or so ago, they did their main. The main was installed. They've installed just about all the connections to that main. They will be done and out of the way in advance of this particular start of the project here. So we should be in good shape utility-wise. There was a little bit of AT&T work as well. That is complete, I believe. So we should have no utility conflicts from franchise utilities by the time the contractor is ready to start.
You say AT&T is done?
I believe they are complete. They had some very minor work to do at a vault right near Fort Street.
They've held us up on several projects, so that's why I'm asking this, is to make sure that.
Right. As far as we know, we should not have a holdup from them. Like I say, unless something unexpected comes along during the construction phase. So.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions? I'll call for the vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. It's been approved. Item 6 on our agenda, Kingsgate, second edition of final plat. Jesse Rohr.
Okay, so this item, as well as the next 2 agenda items after this one, all pertain to the same development, which is known as Kingsgate Second Edition. The first one we'll start off is consideration of the final plat. The owner of the proposed Kingsgate Second Edition has submitted a final plat for consideration. You'll notice, just to get you in the right area here, over here on the right, this will be Kingsgate First Edition. Kingsgate Second Edition is this outlined in red. 41st Street runs in east and west along the bottom of the screen there. This property is adjacent to the previously platted Kingsgate First Edition, as I pointed out, and is a continuation of the larger residential development there along 41st. This is the final phase for the development and is comprised of 22 lots. So here you can see the overall plat design. I know you can't see the numbers and such, but you can see how the street's laid out, how the lots are laid out. The street and utilities will be extended north from 41st Street to the end of the cul-de-sac. Drainage easements are in place to allow drainage to the north into the natural draw that lies to the north there. And since you can't see lot size, the average lot size there is about 140 feet in depth by 65 foot in width. So very comparable to the lot size on Kingsgate First Edition. Here's another visual with the image. The image is rotated to get a little bigger for you and fit the screen here. As I mentioned, this is the last phase of the development, and one thing I want to point out, it had been brought up at the Planning Commission, was that the cul-de-sac itself is longer than what is currently allowed under today's Unified Development Code standards. However, this was an approved preliminary plat from before adoption of the UDC, so we are within regulation to take this one forward. The old regulations allowed up to a 600-foot cul-de-sac. New regulations are 150 foot. So this one does fall under the 600-foot requirement. Other than that, the plat does meet all of the requirements of the current subdivision regulations in regard to lot size, setbacks, and any specific utility easement requirements. The Planning Commission did approve this unanimously when it went before them, and these are the options you have before you to consider. Approve as submitted or request any other changes or considerations to the plat. This would be the action requested here tonight.
Move to approve resolution number 2021-002, accepting the final plat of Kingsgate Second Edition.
I'll second.
Been moved by Commissioner Burgess, seconded by Commissioner Melick, to approve the action requested. Any further questions for Jesse or comments?
I just have a quick question. Jesse, can we grow any further to the west, or is that all we can?
It's probably not real likely. It is under different ownership. It's
Right.
privately owned property. There's also the former landfill there to the west of this property.
Okay.
So in my opinion, it's not real likely to see development in that area. The lay of the land itself also makes it
Right.
maybe a little more challenging than some others in the area there.
I'm just curious. Thank you.
Jesse, this would complete the development up to the edge of our current city limits, correct?
Yes, it would. Everything to the west there, nothing to the west is in the city limits at this point.
Okay.
Any other questions? I'll take a vote on the motion. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you, Jesse. Item 7 is the Kingsgate Second Edition, the resolution to establish benefit district.
Okay, so now we got the final plat approved here tonight. The next two steps are necessary for the project to move forward. This first is establishment of a special benefit district for improvements to the development. Covenant Land and Developing, the owner of the property, has petitioned the city for street, storm sewer, water, and sanitary sewer improvements to this particular plat, the area containing 22 lots in the Kingsgate Second Edition. The engineer's estimate for total construction of the project is $748,000. This project is consistent with past residential developments within the city of Hayes in regard to street size, street type, and utility layout. The general nature of the proposed improvements are as follows. We have the construction of the street, which is called Royal Court, and all related curb, gutter, and stormwater sewer improvements. It includes the construction of approximately 700 feet of 8-inch water line, fire hydrant service connections, and all necessary and related water improvements. And then it also includes the construction of approximately 800 linear feet of 8-inch sanitary sewer line including manholes, sanitary sewer service connections, and any of the other related sewer improvements. The developer is intending to finance the development project through the creation of a special benefit district. The way that works is 70% of the cost for the project will be allowed to be special assessed over a period of 20 years, with the remaining 30% being paid in full by the developer prior to award of the construction contract. Here are some possible options to consider, either approving the resolution to establish the benefit district or not, and the action requested regarding this item.
Move we approve resolution number 2020-003, authorizing the creation of a special benefit district for infrastructure improvements in the estimated amount of $748,000 for the development of 22 lots within the Kingsgate Second Edition.
I'll second.
I'm sorry, was that you, Ron?
I'll second, yes.
Been moved by Commissioner Reuter, seconded by Commissioner Melick. Are there any other questions or comments?
Jesse, the city will put this out for bid, correct?
Right, so the way this works is we establish the contract with the engineer. The engineer is responsible for designing the project, bid solicitation. We formally open the bids here at the city. The design engineer will also do construction inspection during the project itself. And the cost of the engineering services agreement, which we'll talk about the next item here, it is included in the total cost of $748,000, and therefore 30% of that as well will be assessed to the lots. That is kind of how that works out.
Thank you.
Any other questions? I'll take a vote on the motion. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you. And item number 8, Kingsgate Second Edition Engineering Services Agreement.
Okay, so the final item regarding Kingsgate Second Edition, I just mentioned the engineering services agreement that includes design, bid solicitation, and construction inspection for the infrastructure within the development. The Driggs Design Group has prepared a contract for engineering services for Kingsgate Second Edition that will include the engineering design, solicitation, construction engineering, and warranty inspection. The contract is for a not-to-exceed amount of $36,500. The final phase and construction of Royal Court will be completed, along with the associated utilities that I mentioned, the water, sanitary sewer, and storm sewer. And they will be built as specified by the City of Hays Development Policy Infrastructure Guidelines for new development. The $36,500 cost for engineering services is included in the total project cost of $748,000. And just like the infrastructure costs, as I mentioned, 30% of that will be required to be paid up front by the developer prior to us coming to you for the award of bid. So we will be back to you one more time after bids are solicited and we have a valid bidder. We'll come back to you for an award of bid for this particular project. These will be the options on this one and the action requested. Any questions on that item?
Make a motion, we approve the engineering service agreement with Driggs Design Group for an amount not to exceed $36,500 for the development of Kingsgate Second Edition.
Seconded.
Been moved by Commissioner Musil, seconded by Commissioner Burgess to approve the action requested. Discussion. Call for the vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you.
All right, thank
And
you.
we have progress.
Thank you, Jesse.
Thanks, Jesse. That was a full load.
Good evening, Colin Belzer, Assistant City Manager. And for the month of January, to give an idea of what we've been up to. So this is before and after pictures at 5th and Ash. There's some curb and brick repair. This actually happened in an area where a water tap and meter was installed about 10 years ago. Also, along 20th and Fort, a water line repair was made by the Water Resources Department, and then the street replacement was shored up by the Public Works Department. This was reported last month, but this month it got finished, so there was another section of Montgomery Ditch that had its bank stabilized. These are some before photos. You can see the erosion occurring. Then afterward, where it was completed, total cost for materials, labor, and equipment was roughly $30,000, and that was out of the stormwater funds. The Skyline Willow Draw was having erosion and sediment issues. This is a before and after pictures of different areas in that, but as you can see, the erosion on the left, and then after they're cleaning up a lot of the repairs they've made. At 27th and Fort, we were able to install a permissive left turn signal. We were actually able to utilize or recycle some equipment from the Vine Street project. So we saved about $15,000 by being able to use that equipment. The Hayes Fire Department. So this is a project that got stalled by the pandemic because it was going to utilize a lot of students from North Central Kansas Tech and Fort Hayes, but NCK Tech has got in there and they are starting to do the wiring and installing the HVAC equipment. Parks and green spaces. So during this time, they've mined some soil and mixed it with compost to use for topsoil in the parks. The compost obviously comes from the city's recycling center, and then the soil was mined behind the sports complex. They've been taking down dangerous trees. These are some photos in Frontier Park where the tree on the left actually had a large section of trunk that was hollow to the ground. Making sure that those don't happen to be widow makers. Also, Dandrup Park, they limbed up some overgrown shelter belts so you can see the difference in the pine trees, and to allow, it will reduce collection of windblown litter, improve the park's aesthetics. The IT department has attended some training to utilize the floodplain data for FEMA's new community rating system. FEMA is estimating to have the maps effective December 2021. So the Department of Water Resources, 600 Commerce Parkway. So this is interesting. They removed pipe and shored up an old tank. I was informed that the firefighting water source for the airport was an underground tank. That's what I was told by Jeff Crispin. And the pipe, so the tank held water, and then when they had to use for fire services, they would hook up to those pipes. Well, it's no longer in use, obviously, so they removed the pipes. You can see the middle picture of them actually working on the tank down there and shoring it up, and that's all been, the tank's still there underground, but the pipes have been removed. This is something new, the Water Ambassador Program. This is actually driven by the Extension Service, or 4-H, I should say. It's collaboration with the city and other partners. I've been told that we're the only community in Kansas that has something like this with Extension. It was a program that was mirrored off something similar in Texas. So there are 4 middle school students. They applied and were interviewed to become ambassadors, and they spent a day there. I think there's multiple days they'll go through, but at this particular day they toured the water plant, the sewer plant. They all learned an activity, so they could go, like an exercise that they could go out and share the community, like at maybe schools or whatnot, to share the importance of water conservation. And actually, they actually had a person from Texas who participated in the Texas program and talked to them about how they are now pursuing a degree in college related to water conservation. CVB created the Deals on Meals, so they established a map of restaurant discounts for visitors, and they've been distributed to the hotels, and then there's an incentive for the hotel staff when these are distributed to visitors and when they go use those coupons. They also found time to make a video of the historic churches of Ellis County. You can find that on visithays.com. Obviously, it promotes the tour options for future groups. It's really professionally well done. Obviously, we had recently a lot of snow, so this picture at the airport using their snow blower that they got last year, I believe, and it sure kicks out a lot of snow. Project management, Tallgrass Second Edition's moving along. They're installing water and wastewater services for that. And then the I-70 West development, also with the mild weather, they've been able to install the sewer line and manholes. They're approximately 67% complete with the manhole or the sewer line construction. And then John Brown was here a week ago I believe, to kind of talk about this, so most of you know, but right now they're focusing on 37th Skyline and 41st Street. And then in March, they'll begin the next 3 roundabouts. Any questions?
Lots of progress. Any questions?
Thank you, Colin.
Yeah, thank you, Colin.
Thanks very much, Colin.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Jerry.
Commissioners, inquiries or comments? Commissioner Musil.
Yeah, I actually would like to just, I wanted to thank First Care Clinic, Ellis County Health Department, and Hayes Med. I actually have a good friend who works with First Care Clinic, and just the effort and time they're putting in trying to get the vaccines out as soon as possible. I've seen people on Facebook complaining, why haven't I got mine yet? And basically what he has told me is people will get them out as soon as possible. They have a list, people have signed up. I actually signed up today, and it takes less than 5 minutes to sign up, so I encourage people to do it. And on a side note on that, I had a couple from Norton in my store the other day, just got their second shot. First time they've been out in a business since March, and they decided to come to Hayes, and they were just so excited to get out. So it's, I know that a lot of people don't want to do the vaccine, but there's a lot of people excited to have it, and I think it's good for our community.
Mr. Malik.
I have nothing this evening, thank you.
Commissioner Burgess. Commissioner Reuter.
I have nothing this evening.
The only thing I have is I'd really like to thank our staff and Public Works and getting the snow cleaned up the way it was. As I understand, we had people come in on Sunday, make sure our equipment was ready to go. They were out on the streets at 5 a.m., and I've had comments from people in the community what a great job they did. So thank you very much for that. No executive session. We're adjourned.